Welcome back to the Level Up and Live podcast. I'm your host, Sean Meyers, and we're on a mission to empower business owners and emerging leaders to design a life they don't grow to hate without sacrificing health, relationships, or spirituality. We do this through the Level Up and Live mastermind group here in Montgomery County, built on 5 pillars: accountability, clarity, support, guidance, and community. Today's guest is a powerhouse, Josh Webb, owner of Webb's Custom Apparel, jiu-jitsu competitor, and leader of a 20-person team delivering full-scale screen printing and embroidery. Josh Webb, welcome to the show, brother.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Josh, take us back to the beginning, man. I want to dive deep. Josh has become the man that I have met here in the last 2 months. What was life like before Webb's Custom Apparel? And what pulled you into this world of design, printing, and apparel?
Oh, this goes way back. So my parents actually started the business 25 years ago. July 2001. I was a 5th generation firefighter. So grandfather, great grandfather, great, all the way back. My dad was a firefighter for 17 years. And I was going to go into that as well. So I started at the station doing volunteer, did the Explorer program, eventually got my EMT cert, my state cert, became a paid firefighter. Yeah. At the time, there was no tax revenue for firefighters. It was all fill the boot, donations, things like that. And my dad said, "You're not going to do this." He's like, "You're not going to be a firefighter. I work 3 jobs. We barely get by." He's like, "You're going to go to school." So my dad sent me to A&M. But before that, my dad's always been a problem solver. If somebody has an issue, he goes way out of his way. He would give you the shirt off his back, like if it would help you. Yep. He's that kind of person. So we were having issues at the fire station getting boots and pants, belts, all kind of stuff. And my dad said, we've been waiting 6-8 months for stuff. What can I do to help? So he got his tax ID, started an LLC, got set up with Thorogood Boots. That was the first vendor we got set up with, or he got set up with. They sent him his first pair of boots. A guy at the fire station bought it within a week. We have our first dollar frames still. And
that's cool.
Yeah, so people started getting word of this, that, hey, Johnny can get this stuff now. Let's do this. Let's try that. Let's get this. And eventually, he kind of cleared out a 3rd bedroom of the house and filled it up with boots and pants, belts and shirts and all kind of different stuff, whatever he can get his hands on to help the firefighters. Well, my brother and I also played Little League baseball. So he said, well, we can do these uniforms for the baseball league. How hard can it be? So we got set up with a couple of other vendors. He ended up buying a screen print machine, a little bitty, like 6-head manual screen print machine. Yep. And him and I built out our garage. We cleared everything out of the garage. We ran all new electrical outlets, put lights in, T111 siding, insulation, everything. Build the garage out. And next thing you know, we have embroidery machines, screen print machines, DTF machines, anything that was available at that time. And I would come home from wrestling practice, baseball practice, what have you. I would print with my dad as long as I could. Sometimes that'd be midnight, 2 a.m. I would go to bed. My dad would keep grinding. He'd keep going through. He'd go all the way through, maybe get sleep, maybe not, and go to work the next day, come back, and do it again. And he was constantly doing it. Meantime, my mom was an insurance agent for 25 years for farmers.
Really? Okay.
She was doing that, and then eventually, I don't remember when she got out of that, but she eventually was a counselor at Oak Ridge High School. She did attendance, things like that. And then eventually the business continued to grow enough to where they needed a storefront in order to get set up with certain vendors. So they got a storefront over next to Firestone off of Rayford. Got their first storefront business. Then they started hiring employees. They never had more than like 2 employees at a time. But it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then finally, my dad and mom both quit their jobs and started doing it full time. So, but mind you, I went to college. So I left, went to college. They continued running it by themselves. I started in 2008 working for HEB. And I'm from small town Conroe. I know people, we got here in the 70s. So like people think Conroe is this big city now. 700,000 people in Montgomery County, 110 in Conroe, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was small. So
Yeah.
I used to ride my bike to Food Basket. That was okay back then. I rode my bike to Food Basket, Food Bucket, whatever you want, Hodges, called it all kind of different things.
Yeah.
I'd load up my bike, as much groceries as I could carry, and go back. Um, and so I expected grocery stores to just be one location. That was it, end all be all. I didn't realize HEB had 300 stores, 110,000 employees, been around 100 years. I didn't know these things. So when
Yeah.
they offered me a job, I kind of laughed. But then I started meeting people within HEB, and they told me all these different things I could do. Well, as soon as I graduated A&M, HEB scooped me up. So I
Mm.
started at the bottom, started doing leadership classes, leadership development series, management school, things like that. So I started at the bottom, stocking meat or stocking chicken and chubs and stuff like that. Worked my way up to a meat cutter, then a lead, then an assistant manager, then a manager. Ran my own shop in San Antonio for a while. And then
Mm.
eventually a job opened up on the corporate desk for pricing analyst, and then eventually financial analyst for the meat and seafood, which we did $4 billion a year at the time in seafood. And it was my job to make money, or to show that we were going to make money and what kind of tonnage we were going to go through.
Yeah.
So running the market, running large teams, and then eventually moving to the corporate office, I was over 300 stores. I was the only like pricing analyst for this job. I had a team that did different things, but I led larger teams. So with all that being said, I had a vast amount of knowledge on how to run a business.
Mm.
And my wife and I lived in San Antonio for I think 6 or 7 years while I worked for HEB. We had a 7-year-old, or we had a kid while we were there. He's 7 now. But we wanted to expand the family, and we were kind of homesick. We'd raised the kids by ourselves, or the kid by herself, and we're like, it'd be cool to go back home. Well, my wife happened to get laid off.
Oh,
At that
wow.
time, her
Yeah.
company was going through a big downsizing. They had a new CEO and all that stuff, so she got laid off. And we just prayed about it. What do we need to do here?
Yeah.
Well, I said, I'm going to quit my job and we're going to move back home. I'm going to take over my parents' business. My dad thought I was crazy. He's like, no way. I said, yeah, send me the books. Let me look at everything. I said, let's see if we can make this work. So
Mm.
um, sends me everything. I said, I'm going to do it. I go to HEB. I tell them, hey, this is my goal. I want to quit.
Wow.
They offered me a lot of money. They said,
Mm.
we want you to stay. What do you need? And I said, look, you can't offer me any amount of money. I said, this is family. My dad's health was kind of declining because he was so stressed out because the business was growing rapidly. It was him and 3 other people, one my mom included. So he was working 7 days a week, 14, 16-hour days. He
Wow.
was grinding.
Yeah.
I said, so one, I'll get to move home and be closer to my brother and his kid. His kid and mine are 3 months apart.
Mm.
I said, but I'll also, get to relieve my dad.
Yeah.
And see what I
Mm.
can do to help. And
How
I
old were
said, I'm
you
going
at
to
the
take this
time?
sacrifice. This was in March 2020.
2020. Okay.
Okay. So I took a massive pay. I cut down on vacation. I cut down on weekends off, all of those stuff. I'm like, I'm going to take a huge sacrifice. I said, but this is going to be worth it because family is 100%. It's just going to make a difference.
Yeah.
So I tell them this, I tell HEB this, they say, okay, understood. A really smooth transition out. I got somebody in my role to train. I put my house on the market. It sold the same day.
Wow.
We
Meant to be.
moved to Houston. Or no, we come down that weekend. We put money down on a lot to build a house that same weekend. Okay. And then as soon as we get down here, we find out we're pregnant with twins. Yes. So
Oh,
God 100% was in every move of that.
yes.
So
Wow.
we couldn't deny it. I said, Delilah, I
Mm.
said, I don't know if we're doing the right thing. I said, but all of these things have lined out. There's no way that God doesn't have his hand in this. I said, this is it. This is what we're supposed to do. So I
Mm.
came in. We had 4 employees, 5 at that time. My wife did not work for us, so she did not jump in. She stayed at home with the kids. And I
Yeah.
think she did that for like 3 years. Well, I kind of got my hand in the business, kind of get my feet wet and understood what was going on.
Mm.
And then later on, she will join the business. She did join the business, and really helped me grow and continue to grow. But yeah, ultimately that's how all this came to fruition.
The Lord works in mysterious ways. He's not going to give anything to Josh Webb that he can't handle, right? And you've
Yeah,
seen that
absolutely.
in action. Now, when
Yeah.
you transitioned and when you took over Webb's Custom Apparel, did you know what you were actually doing, or was it like, I'm going to figure it out as you go?
No, it was definitely there is no handbook for this industry. There's companies that are just screen printing. There's companies that are just heat press. There's companies that are just sign companies. There's companies that are just embroidery. We do all of that. We
Mm,
do every bit of it in house. We don't outsource anything. There's no handbook on it. There's
yeah,
nobody that no, there's no coaches on it. There's a little bit of knowledge here and there. If it weren't for Facebook and YouTube, I think this industry as a whole would not. It's still archaic. I mean,
yeah,
the only thing we've gone a little bit further in is we're on paper and not chisel and stone. It's that old of an industry, and it just really hasn't developed because there's so much manual labor involved.
yeah.
So no, I spent 2 years just learning. I spent time in every single department learning how to run the machines,
Mm,
understanding how they work, what they can do, what they're capable of, what they can't do before I did anything.
mm.
So
What I'm hearing you say is that you got in the trenches, you rolled up your sleeves, and to get that firsthand experience on what each department was going through. And instead of like you dictating or being that boss that points the finger and's like, "Hey, I'm the owner here. I'm the new owner. I'm the new guy or the new boss, and do as I say." No, you were actually leading by example with these team members that you rolled up your sleeves and was actually curious and learning the ins and the outs and the efficiency of the business. And I think that a lot of times is overlooked with a lot of our listeners and business owners that listen to this. Is a lot of times, sometimes we stay stuck in what it is that we're really good at. I want to open up a bakery and I bake muffins really good. So that's all they do. They don't learn the different departments, the financing, the marketing, the sales, the leading the employees. And that's what I'm hearing you say that you did. You rolled up your sleeves and say, "Hey, what's it going to take? Who do I need to become to lead this team?" So
yeah,
you've
and
got a team of, go ahead.
that was something I learned at HEB, and it was one of those things that the more each person knows, the more powerful they are.
Mm,
Um, and so I was going into each department and I was asking, "Hey, can you do this?" And they kept telling me no. And the way my mind works is why? Why can it not work? Why does it not work? And so I
yeah.
wanted to see it. I wanted to see it for myself.
Mm,
So I said, "Teach me, show me." So I
yeah.
spent the time with them understanding why. And then because it was an old school mentality, it
Mm,
was one of the things that is just now limiting us to on what we can do.
yeah.
So the more I understood, the more powerful I was, and then I would able not only speak to them, but I was also able to speak to customers on why we can and can't do things. Um,
Which is powerful
but
because if there's a disconnect between the why, if people don't understand, your employees don't understand, your people that you're leading don't understand, your customers don't understand, then it causes friction. It causes frustration. But
yeah,
if you can explain and share that why because you understand it, then it just makes that much more sense. We may not like it, but it makes more sense. And people buy into the why. Customers buy into the why. A team buys into the why. And if they can buy into that emotional compelling nature behind it. They may not agree with it, but they see the bigger picture because that's our job as leaders is to paint that 30,000 foot picture.
yeah,
Then, man, I think that's how you end up with a team of 20 now. And I'm
right.
curious. Yeah, go ahead.
But it was one of those things that we continue to say no to things, can't do this, can't do that, and it really limited us. And until I understood why and how they do things, I couldn't help with efficiencies. I couldn't help with
Mm,
policies, procedures. I couldn't processes. I couldn't put any of that stuff in place to make us more efficient. Now the
yes.
industry standard for us is or not for us, for the industry is 4 to 6 weeks or 5 to 6 weeks, depending on what you're doing. And we're turning stuff in 3 to 5 days now. Some days,
Yeah.
sometimes we're doing stuff same day. And it's because I spent the time to understand every aspect in and out of the business,
Mm,
um, to be able to put those processes in place. So now we're weeks ahead rather than waiting on stuff to come in, we're set up and ready for it to set up and ready to go for when that stuff lands. We're knocking it out.
Yeah.
But if I didn't understand how things work, I wouldn't have been able to put those things in place.
Where did you get that from? Is that something that you learned at HEB? Is that something you learned from your dad? Because I'll be honest with you, brother, that is a skill set. Most people, they come into a role like that and they're dictating things. Well, that's your job. You know, I'm going to come over here and stay in my lane. But you're like, nope, I'm going to get curious. I want to learn efficiency. I want to learn the why. How can we improve? That's that entrepreneur mindset on improving things. And I think that's probably contributed to, you know, there's a bunch of variables to where you are today. Can you put a pulse on that? What was the catalyst?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I started in a fire department when I was 14 years old. My dad was the fire chief. So I had this, all the guys that I worked with were twice my age, had the mindset, oh, it's the chief's son. So I constantly had to prove myself. I grew the beard when I went to work for HEB, and I'll explain that later. I always had to prove myself. I always had to work twice as hard, twice as fast, and show how we could do it better, how we could be more efficient, how we could do it better across the board. So I was constantly proving myself. And when I moved to HEB, I had this work ethic and this mindset that how can we be better? How can we be the best? How can we improve our current processes and procedures? And when I started improving things, they immediately took to me, upper management took to me and started moving me up the ranks. I was getting promoted every 6 months. And it's because of that mindset and work ethic. Well, as I continued to move up, I looked like a child. I mean, I was young, fresh out of college. And I had guys that would get sideways with me saying, hey, man, I've been cutting meat longer than you've been alive. But I could work circles around them. Yeah. Not only because I had the work ethic, because I had the process in place, understanding exactly how everything works. So I was 10 times more efficient.
Yes.
And it rubbed people the wrong way. And I carried that with me my entire life, from the time I was 14 all the way through into the business now. And how can we be the best in the industry? And all I'm doing is just picking apart what people are currently doing and figuring out how to do it better.
And you clearly executed that. You clearly had the mindset around that. And I think that's what a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs do. They're really good at their craft. They have that hunger, and they tie that emotional compelling nature just like you did. But then when you get into a management or leadership position as you were transitioning into your career, I'm curious, man, and I know a lot of our listeners and viewers are going to want to know this too. What were those early months like for you that, sure, you were really good in the trenches, rolling up your sleeves, efficiency, productivity, just like a lot of people that are entrepreneurs and have that work ethic like you did. But what were those early months or years like transitioning into the business Webb's Custom Apparel and even leading at HEB? What was that leading like for you? Because obviously you had the systems, tough. You were figuring that out and hiring, but the leading for you.
Yeah, it was tough. Not because of the business standpoint alone, but I was also going into my family's business. Yes. And my dad started the business. My mom started the business. That ship has been moving one direction for 20 years. How do I turn that ship into a different direction? So not only trying to convince them, but convince the employees and then show them that we're all on the same page.
Yes.
Anybody that has kids knows that if mom says one thing and dad says another, the kids are going to split them apart.
Yep.
And they're going to rip them apart. So
that's right.
Having unity with the team and having understanding, that's why we have the morning huddles every morning, is so we're all on the same page. There's no disconnect. But in the beginning stages, I kept HEB on my speed dial. Really? And there was times where I went out in the warehouse and I said, what have I got myself into?
Yeah.
But ultimately, if I leave, I now have 20 employees and 20 employees' family members and loved ones that rely on me to keep those doors open every single day and make sure they're getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
So I remind myself that I'm not doing it for me every day. And when I do it for them and the customers, when I put them first, it all works out. It's all somehow everything has worked out.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the weight of being the guy, the guy that's running things right now, the owner, the leader. What have been your darkest days as a business owner these last 3 or 4 days or years?
Yes. So being a business owner, you get freedom, you get your schedule, but you get the highest of high and you get the lowest of lows.
Yeah.
There is no one to fall back on like there is when you work for the man.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when I worked for the man, I could just clock out, go home, and not worry about anything. I'd had a stress-free life, and I got my paycheck regardless. I always got that. You never have to worry about that. But
Yep.
as a business owner in your building, you make a lot of sacrifices. It may be
Mm.
personal time, it may be personal money. I have friends that run businesses that they won't pay themselves if they can't make payroll to make sure that they can pay their employees. And those are the type of sacrifices that you have to make. Um,
Mm.
Coming into the business and realizing where we were at, it was a hobby. It was a hobby, and it was something that I needed to take and make into a career, a business.
Yeah.
This was no longer about mad money, beer money, whatever. This was about growing a business, scaling a business, and making it scalable.
Mm.
So I had to basically tear the business. I had to tear the walls off the business, tear it all the way down to the foundation, and
Yeah.
start from the bottom up. Hence why I spent so much time in each department, because I couldn't write processes if I didn't understand the department.
That's
So
right.
I started one at a time. I took notes, wrote everything down for every single department. And then as I slowly removed myself, working on the business, not in the business, as I slowly removed myself out of the business and really started delegating and giving people clear and concise expectations
Mm.
with processes, procedures, policies, and expectations in place, is when the business really started to grow. And I knew we couldn't grow until I fixed all of those cracks in the foundation first.
What was the catalyst for that? Because for 15 plus years, up to 20 years, it was your mom, your dad, and then 2 other employees, but you've taken it to 20 plus team members. And what I'm hearing you say is somebody that understands business and leadership and marketing and sales and what it takes to scale. What was that catalyst for you
My,
that
my
took it
team,
from your
my
team?
team. Yeah. So I have always and always will surround myself with people smarter and better than me.
Mm.
Um, I bring in experts in their division or in their area, and I lean on them. Teach me, show me what you can do, and then let's work together to be more efficient. I have the I have the capacity to understand something and then to break it down and make it more efficient. So if I can bring somebody in that has a general understanding that is extremely smart, we can work well together to really fine tune their
Mm.
craft.
Mm.
Um, so I give 100% full credit to my team. Yes, I can lead a team, but without them and them having the work ethic, the drive, the passion, there's no way I'd be where I'm at today. It's 100% surrounding myself with people better than me.
Mm. Have you ever thought about quitting?
100% all the time.
What got you through it?
I have to look at those people each and every day and tell them that I failed them.
Mm.
I'm doing it for them. If I left this job today, I could make ends meet. I could figure it out. I have the work ethic to drive, um, and my family would be okay. But all of those other people that rely on me, their families rely on them. They rely on that paycheck.
Mm.
They're there every day for me. They open those doors. I'm here. I'm at home right now. They do that every day for me.
Yeah.
So it is my job to return that favor and make sure that I'm there for them every single day.
Love that, man. I couldn't agree with you more. People don't leave their job because they don't like their job. Statistics shows they leave their leader, they leave their boss, they leave their
Yeah,
supervisor. Everything
right.
everything rises and falls on leadership, and clearly you have grasped that. And I agree with you, man. You only tweak that and evolve over time, and really helping people along the way. We're big on that. And one of the things that I've learned in this entrepreneur journey in the last 10 years is not making it about me, but making it about our team, making it about the other
Yeah.
people and serving them, helping them hit their goals, because ultimately nobody else is doing that. Nobody else is having that conviction and that authenticity as much as what we're talking about today. And if you can really take somebody through that process and help them make more money than they've ever made before, or grow within a company, believe in a vision or a mission bigger than getting us out of ourselves and serving our community. Everybody's got their different motivators. Everybody's got their different way of what makes them tick. And that's our job as leaders. What I have found is to find out what that is. And that evolves over time. In the next 5 years, the person that signed up with you today it's going to different. It's going to change and that's our job as leaders, is to ultimately find the right people in the right seats. And it sounds like you are doing that and currently embodying that. I think that's just a beautiful place to be, man. And I'm curious, with Webb's Custom Apparel, what makes you different? Like, what makes your business different? If I'm a school listening to this, because we have some teachers, fire departments, or even a business, why should these individuals reach out to you? What makes you different, man? Because obviously you're doing things differently and you distinct with yourself.
Yeah, we're in a business of people, and we always will be. Without customers, we don't have a business. So that we put that as our priority. That is our number one, to make sure the customer's happy, regardless of the situation. If we mess something up, we own it. I will replace it 100 times at my expense to make sure the customer's happy. And that's something that was ingrained with me with HEB, and it's something I carried over here. We take a lot of pride in what we do. My employees absolutely love going out to a restaurant or going anywhere and seeing the stuff that we printed on somebody else's back. Like, it's a very prideful feeling for them, and they love seeing it. I get pictures every now and then. Oh, we printed that. That's so cool. We printed that. Or, seeing a first responder. We do a ton of business with first responders, and seeing them out there on the streets wearing the stuff that we decorated, or the stuff that we, fulfilled that order. So ultimately, we always put the customer first. Yes, we have great systems that really help the customer. We have all of our stuff is online now, so everything's digital. Customers are able to place an order online, see the status of their order. It's like the Domino's pizza tracker. So from the time that they order it, all the way through to it being received, decorated, and quality assurance, all the way through to being complete, we provide that service now. That's something that we didn't provide in the past.
Oh, that's awesome.
But we have real people. We don't have an answering service. We answer the phone. When you call, you get us. Regardless of where you're at, what you're doing, what time it is, we answer the phone. You can get online. You can place your orders at any time from anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, and we ship directly to you. We make it as easy as possible for the customer, and we always answer the phone. We're always friendly. We won't ever get sideways with you, regardless of what's going on, but we do whatever it is to make it right by the customer.
Yeah. I love that, man. And that's one thing I've learned in what I'm hearing you say, is that because you believe that and you embody that, your team is going to embody that as well, because it's caught, not taught. And it blows my mind when I see all these businesses out there in Montgomery County alone, and people that calling 1-800 numbers, and it takes 3 or 4 days to get back to somebody. I mean, just all these things that I try not to criticize, but more so learn from what I don't want our business to look like. And then what really is the separator and distinguisher of great enduring companies. And it's what you're saying. And think about Amazon. It's this making these small little tweaks and evolving over time to solicit feedback from the customer. What's working, what's not working, what do they want? They want a fish. When I think of shirts, my wife has got an Etsy shop on the side, and I tell her all the time, I'm like, people want efficiency. People want it within
instant gratification.
Exactly. And they want to be taken through that process. If I ordered a pizza or I did a DoorDash, I'm watching that little guy because I'm hungry. He's driving to my house. But that's value to me, and we pay for it versus somebody, the people that are doing this as a hobby, or the people that are doing this on the side. Your business is coming in here dominating and crushing because you're obsessed with taking that customer through the journey. And I honestly believe, I'm a big believer, if you're the leader and you're listening to this and you're an emerging leader and you're not obsessed with what it is that you're doing, you're going to get dominated, not if, but when, by the other guy like Josh Webb. This is all he thinks about, because he's going to take the market share. And then that person will throw in the towel because he's not obsessed with it. You hear too many people these days, multiple streams of income, multiple businesses. I got 15 different things going on. I used to be that guy, but it just spread me thin. I could have all the energy in the world, but I was just fatigued. I was exhausted. I'm like, what am I doing? I didn't have that why. But once you get clearly defined on that why and what it is that you should be, that Josh Webb should be doing on a daily basis, that Sean should be doing on a daily basis, and it's those one or two things that we're really good at, then you attract and you bring in, like you said earlier, the people that are smarter than me. I'm not the smartest. I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room.
No.
I just know one or two different things. I want to bring the people around me that are going to be better ideas, better suggestions. Those are the people you want to attract. You have any thoughts on that?
And they're running the business. And ultimately, if you listen to all of it and sum it all up in a summary, it's all about people. It starts with people, it ends with people. And when you put them first, you put your employees first, and you're not focusing on the money. Yes, you have to have a good P&L sheet. You have to have a good balance sheet.
Yeah.
But when you focus on the people and why you're truly there and the passion of why you're there, everything else falls in place.
That's so true. It's the byproduct. Yeah, it's the byproduct of that. I couldn't agree with you more. I want to transition a little bit because I want to make sure I get this in. I know it's a big part of your life. You're a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And you just won a gold medal, first place. Congratulations. Huge shout out.
Thank you.
How does that discipline show up in business and in life for you?
We used to have, not too long ago, the world, or we'll call it Texas, for example, to narrow it down, you could just have a conversation with somebody man to man. And you could, if you guys wanted to go, we called them cooler talks. I hope this doesn't get out, but we called them cooler talks. We'd go in the cooler, there's no cameras in there, and we'd hash it out. And we'd square things away, and we'd shake hands, and we'd move on about our business. You can't do that now. You have to have civil conversations. You got to be PR savvy. You have to be HR savvy. You've got to know what you're doing, who you're talking to, your audience. You have to be very safe, very secure. Everybody's sue happy.
Yes.
So I now, going into jiu-jitsu, my mindset has completely changed. I'm very patient. I'm very calm. I have a completely different approach. I have discipline. Before it was just meet fire with fire and, get out, you're fired, and let's settle this. And, you got a problem with me, get nose to nose and things like that. That doesn't work anymore. You end up employee leaving and you're all over Facebook and the news for whatever.
That's right.
So it has, but also with my kids.
Yeah.
It's helped me to just kind of laugh things off, because once you start jiu-jitsu or before, you just think anger and everything's going to just change everything, fix everything. And you meet force with force or fire with fire. And then you go to the mats and you meet somebody that's been training and that just severely humbles you. And you're like, look, okay, there's a better approach. There's other things I can do differently. Let's try to de-escalate this calmly and safely. And you catch more flies with honey, right? So, so once you grasp that mindset, we can have a conversation and come to an agreement and it never escalates. We get so much more done, because I learned that mindset from my dad, that you just get in there, get mad, yell at them, and it solves everything.
Very traditional.
At the end of the day, but I noticed that employees were focusing on his anger and not the message. We weren't learning anything, and we continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. And I said, why is that? And it's because all they can think about is how they were approached. And the overall aggression. I said, okay, so I started trying different things, and my dad has actually learned and doing the same thing now. And I'm like, okay, what did we learn? What'd you learn from this? I'm not going to speak, but what was your mindset? What were you thinking? And letting them think for themselves. And so now they're calm. Their guard is down, and we're having a conversation. We're spitballing off each other, and we're learning. And our mistakes have cut significantly. We're doing 1/10 of what we used to do. And it's only because they're focusing on the actual message and not the approach.
Man, that's so good. I want people listening to this. That was a masterclass in leadership, in handling tough, pressured situations.
Yeah.
I'm 38 years of age, and hearing you say that created I mean, I literally just got chills and peace. Hearing your perspective on that, Josh, is you're dead on. And it's next level. I mean, that is a level up moment for anybody listening to this and applying it in their business. And I love how you've tied that to jiu-jitsu and discipline. I didn't know where you were going with that, but when you started sharing that story and then how it's tied to how that showed up in your business, it completely makes sense. Poise, humble, calm, cool, collective. Because like you said, I resonate so much with that. Me and my dad, strong personalities, high energy,
Yeah.
and very, get angry easily, very frustrated easily. When things don't go our way, we become a bulldozer. Dude, it took me 35 years to learn this. 35
Yes.
years. I had to go through
Yes.
the pain and the suffering of all this. Why isn't people listening to me? Why aren't they doing these things? And then I learned that I'm a dictator. I wasn't looking myself in the mirror. That's how I was approaching the situations. And then
Mm.
I thought about this recently, man. It's really hit me in my spiritual growth and my spiritual journey. Is what's happening is it's never about attacking the employee, the
Right.
spouse, the friend. But that's what I did for 35 years. I attacked them when we should be approaching it calm, cool, collective, and attacking the problem, the
Yes.
issue.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mind blown, right? It's taken me 35
Right.
plus freaking years to learn that. And
Yep.
hopefully that lands. Go back and listen to the last 3 minutes of what Josh is saying, because I couldn't agree with you more, man. It's really a level up moment for leaders in those moments. And the beautiful thing about it is leaders like you, we're not all perfect. I'll be the first to admit, even though I know this, it's still hard. It's very challenging. And I have to be intentional about it. But I want guys in my life that are going to call me out on it. I want the Cody Schneiders. I want the Josh Webbs. I want the people that are going to challenge me. Sean, hey, was that the best way to approach that? You're right, bro. You're right. I'm human. Thanks for calling me out on that. And that's what I want to create so much. We all need that. High caliber leaders, high caliber business owners, they need that, because who's challenging them? Who's calling them out? Nobody.
Nobody.
So that's what's been important. One final question, brother. I know I wanted to touch on this with you because you had brought it up before we started shooting the episode. Is and I know a lot of people going through this with business owners and entrepreneurs, man. How do you protect your marriage, faith, and relationships while still building a fast-moving business in what you're doing? How do you protect it?
We have to disconnect. I am very, very capable of waking up at 4 in the morning, hitting the ground running, and working till midnight.
Yeah.
Anybody and everybody can do it. Yes, you obsess over things. You become passionate about things, and you want to continue to build. But you're going to sacrifice something if you don't put boundaries in place.
Yeah.
I can continue to work and neglect my marriage, neglect my family, neglect my kids. At some point in time, I will look back and all my kids will be grown. My wife will be so far disconnected from me, we won't know each other. So we set time aside. We have a schedule. I bought a Skylight calendar. It's a big computer screen, an iPad, and it's got schedules in there, and we follow that. I come home. I work till my business is open from 7 to 4, but I work till 5. I give
Yeah.
1 hour after close for customers to reach out to me and things like that. And when I get home, I come home, I take my phone, I put it on silent, put it on the charger, and put it in the room. And I spend that time. I only have 3 hours with the kids from 5 to 8. They go to bed at 8 o'clock, and they're on
Yeah.
that schedule. Sometimes 8:30. But 5 to 8. We also schedule one day out of the week with my parents. My parents will keep the kids Tuesday night, tonight. They will keep the kids Tuesday night into Wednesday, and we will pick up Wednesday afternoon. So my wife and I get that one night a week that we date, and we spend our time doing whatever we want to do. We'll go out to eat, we'll go do sushi, we'll go to a charcuterie place, we'll just do whatever, or we'll just go buy stuff and be at home, grill out at home.
Yeah.
But you have to schedule something, because if not, it all goes by the wayside. All of a sudden, next thing you know, you're 60 years old and you don't know anybody.
Yeah.
So we schedule that time and we stick to it, and it's our part of our routine. We put the kids in bed at 8 o'clock. One, they need to wind down, but two, it's also our time before we go to sleep to spend together. So the business takes priority from 4 a.m. till 5 p.m. and then the family's after that. If I can't get it done in those 13 hours, I just can't get it done.
Yeah.
So
Show,
no sense in wasting family and all that stuff as well.
I agree with you. Show me your calendar and I'll show you your priorities.
Yeah.
Everything falls, your structure, your design, and on your calendar. Well, Josh, dude, appreciate you showing up today and pulling back the curtains, being vulnerable with us. You're absolutely a walking example of what it means to lead with grit, humility, and purpose. And I want to take a minute to ask you how our community at Level Up and Live, how can we support you, brother? You have been nothing but valuable today. You have shared your insight on transitioning into leader, into business, and just pulling back the layers, man. I really appreciate you. And I want to acknowledge you for that, for being vulnerable and showing up, saying yes. So how can we support you, brother?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, thanks for having me. This was a great experience. I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Sure.
It's things like this that you're doing as a leader. You're bringing other leaders on, and we all share something or a few things that people just don't know about or don't think about.
Yeah.
And things like this, having leaders on a podcast or having leaders in a classroom or in a setting or in a meeting to where we're able to bounce ideas off each other. This is phenomenal because we can all learn something from somebody, regardless of whether you think you know everything or not. There's
Yes.
always some kind of humbling experience that you have where you learn something. I think you guys are doing a phenomenal job, bringing all the leaders together,
Thank you, bro.
doing podcasts like this, splitting hairs, pulling back curtains, things like that.
Yeah.
I think it's stuff like that that is extremely beneficial to all of us because somebody may listen to what I have to say and take something, even if they take one little thing about it,
Yeah.
regardless of what it is, and they take that and they can expand on that.
Yeah.
Bringing other leaders into the room and me listening to them, I'm hearing things as well. Like I've already reached out to Micah and talked about his marketing and growing my business through the social media side.
Yes.
So just bringing all these people together, doing exactly what you're doing,
Yeah.
is more beneficial than anything I could ask for. So I think you're doing a phenomenal job, you and your wife.
I appreciate that, brother. Well, I can't give credit. Yeah, I can't give credit to, I believe, I'm a big believer. I don't know everybody's religion listening to this, but it can't be about Sean, right? It has to be about the Holy Spirit. It has to be about the people on
100%.
the team. Guys like you leaning in, getting curious, showing up. That's what fires me up. Shout out to Cody Schneider, Christy Thornton, Matt Kalusik, Micah, all these leaders that are coming. It takes a freaking army, dude. We can go fast alone, but we can go further together. And it's not just a one-man show. It's the Holy Spirit really working through this. And you've seen that. You've embodied that. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm excited.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, regardless of what is happening, if my marriage is suffering, if my family is suffering, if my business is suffering, it's because of I always step back and the first question I ask is what my relationship with God is like.
Yeah.
And if I'm distant from Him, things tend to fall apart. And so it kind of reels us back in.
Yeah.
And that's been our leading, our North Star, what have you. That's really helped us strive.
I love that, man. I love that. Well, dude, is there any social medias that you want to point our listeners to, or any websites that they can?
Yeah, you can find us. We have a website where you can view all of our products, order online, do quotes online. It's Webb's Custom Apparel or webbsuniforms.com.
Okay.
And then you can also find us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Webb's Custom Apparel. Just look us up, give us a follow. We're constantly posting content where you can see what we do. There'll be some interviews kind of similar to this that we'll be posting soon, but it just shows a little bit about what we do. And
awesome.
Anybody can have my cell phone number. Call anytime, have any questions you got. We'd love to help you out.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll have the links in the show notes as well for easy access to all of our listeners out there. Thank you so much for continuing to show up week after week and pouring yourself in, and just grateful for you listening and asking questions. And if this episode hit today, make sure you go follow Josh Webb. And this man is on a mission. So links are in the show notes. Go follow him. Go support him. And if this episode hit home with you, come join us on the Level Up and Live Mastermind. We got a 1-month free trial. Sit in the room, feel the energy, and meet leaders like Josh who are building lives they don't grow to hate. Link in the show notes. We'll see you in the room. Thanks again, Josh.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.